It is just shy of 3:15 at the Geek House, and we've already had one lag spike. This problem is not going away, and I am not happy. So we're going to rant about that and give you folks a wonderful example of just how much American broadband is utter rubbish. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, a.k.a. Multimedia Jay. Welcome to the Late Night Nerd Lounge. Unless, of course, you're from the EU, in which case, good morning. Yeah, you get to wake up and whatever. And hey, another lag spike, 2 and counting. We are going to be constantly complaining about this, and if it lags so bad that it causes buffering in the stream, we're just going to wait it out and come back. And you're going to get a sucky-ass stream because of sucky-ass internet in a sucky-ass cable monopoly that is now the story about this stuff in my neck of the woods. I mean, you can't be a fan of technology and not be just full of just seething hatred at these monopolists with stuff like this. But you know, this is the story of broadband in America. You're gonna have a cable company, and they are not going to give a shit about you. And I don't care if I get demonetized for swearing either, because I really think that some colorful language is absolutely in order for this kind of stuff too. But look, I mean, if I scroll my task manager over to the edge here, you can see I have task manager open. I'm keeping an eye on, you know, the outbound bandwidth and stuff like that. And I know it's not my network. 3% drop frames. Good job, cable. You suck. But 3.3% drop frames already. But look, I didn't look, you know, I have streamed on YouTube and Twitch for 2 years before this started happening. It started happening a couple of weeks ago when with some severe thunderstorms we had. Storm damage, anybody? But the runaround that I'm getting from the ISP is that, well, nobody's complaining. We get more complaints. Like, how many people are trying to stream with any level of quality in this service area? I mean, it's out of years of living in this town and working in some pretty large, you know, distribution facilities, which constitute a lot of what's around here in terms of jobs in general, I have only known a single person who openly, you know, let people know that they were some kind of streamer. This lady I used to work with, gorgeous, you know, had the looks to be a great streamer, at least according to some people, but she only streamed League of Legends twice on her gaming laptop, and then that was that. So she would wear the Twitch t-shirts to work and stuff. And like, oh, look, Twitch streamer. Because this is years before any of what's been going on lately. Keep your drinks handy. I'm going to need them. This should probably be a lot stiffer than it actually is. Plus, I did some decent running around tonight. So one of the problems I have with the 9 to 5 is that I don't drink enough when it's not summer. So I just end up thirsty afterwards. So it's cool, though. You get some cardio in the mix and your joints are all warm, and you'll wake up the next day and your joints will still be warm. So you're like, yay, cool. That was pretty good exercise. We had somebody just cut and run tonight, so to speak, just leave early, and had to go over and help them finish. But helping them finish was the half hour of medium intensity exercise that was the FDA or the CDC or whoever it is recommends in terms of getting good exercise and stuff. But either way, yeah, so today we're going to muscle through this. And, you know, I don't know, maybe I should just do game streams, because instead of having and just take these chat streams and turn them into like the kind of those vlog videos that I was uploading, like the one about how multi-streaming is overrated. I mean, that'd be a more direct way of dealing with topics than chat streams anyways. But we're at the point now where I'm getting blown off. They're not responding to any of my messages, and they're just completely ignoring me. So I'm going to have to get on the phone and sit through hold music and crap now in order to get a person who will probably have a big screen that says, don't talk to this person or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, this service is worse than it was 2 years ago. And if I can't stream, there is 0 point in me having this internet. At least there wasn't any point in having this internet. Things have changed. This ticked me off so much. Well, let me just recap for the people that haven't been following along. So We had the storm damage a couple of weeks ago. There have been regular... Oh, here we go. Next. Yeah. Go into the red. Down to 2,000 for a bit rate. Is that enough to trip YouTube into popping an error message? Yeah, there we go. Uh-huh. Cable, you suck. American cable internet, baby. Look at that. Yeah, you won't like it, and there's no other option. And it's... Can't even get into the story about it. I thought it was a DDoS at one point when it was really bad, but then I started seeing giant lag spikes when I was testing. So over in the project area, you can't really see it unless I do that. One of the Delosauruses is set up with OBS on it. I've tossed around the idea of making Delosaurus Rex a streaming PC for a 2-PC streaming setup. But it was for a 2-PC streaming setup. So, yeah, so I've done some tests. YouTube, one of the great features that YouTube has is the ability to private stream. So you can do invite-only streams that nobody can see to test stuff out. So that's what I did. I would sit here playing ESO and actually using another computer, and my network didn't have any issues whatsoever with only 2 devices, using the majority of the bandwidth, the phones and other stuff, just occasional stuff. And I was fooling around in Fresh Tomato. I can see the traffic. I can see the traffic and the outbound bandwidth on literally every single IP address on the network. It's a lot of really good stuff that's available if you mess around with third-party firmwares and stuff. So I set up Delosaurus Rex with basically a stripped down version of my Be Right Back screen. Matter of fact, is mine still good? Okay, good. It is still full. It is still full featured. But so I set that computer up with a BRB screen, and I just had it basically broadcasted over and over and over again. And then I watched everything. I have a task manager showing my Ethernet bandwidth from Monolith, but I can actually look at not only real-time bandwidth from every device on the network to see if something's interfering with the connection. Spoiler alert, nothing is. Or I can look at, all the bandwidth from the devices. But something I can also do is I can also look at historical data going back up to about 24 hours or so. So I can look at historical data going back 24 hours. So I can actually look later on. I'll be able to review the bandwidth coming out from Monolith and actually see the lag spikes when they happen and how deep they were. So, and then just, you'll see it in the replay, of course. I'm also thinking of watching some of my old streams to see when this started happening, but I don't think I remember seeing a lot. I think a lot of the problems I had before was encoding lag, so too much going on the screen when I was playing maxed out ESO and streaming at the same time. Some of the bright, flashy Templar things created something along those lines. But yeah, this is the experience you have with American cable internet. And this has really been getting me thinking a lot about just how content creation is turning into a world of haves and have-nots, like so much else in our lives. I mean, if you just want to get into this as a hobby, you're probably going to end up with an inferior live stream by virtue of being at the mercy of whatever your cable company feels like doing that day. So if they actually want to take care of their network and not oversell it or whatever, then you are absolutely at the mercy of your cable company. So your streams are always going to suck more than the rich streamers with probably really good fiber in a major city. So they're close to what are called NSPs, network service providers, the higher end versions of ISPs that connect all the ISPs together, and they negotiate traffic with the ISPs and everything along those lines. So bottom line is, if you are broadcasting one of these things, especially a PC stream out of a major city, you have more options available and probably better options, probably something involving fiber. The thing with cable internet is it's still running coax. There's still an analog component. I still have to deal with things like signal to noise ratio, and my modem actually records events when what's called the dynamic range window is too high or too low. Is the power coming into the modem too hot or too cold? So you have that going on. But yep, this is the sad state that I find myself in. So this ticked me off so much that I thought about going back to Frontier. I seriously, like, if I can't stream, there's no point in keeping cable internet, especially when Frontier was selling my old internet for $38 a month. They tell me they're not going to sell it anymore. And then I find out about the settlement. The state of Connecticut sued Frontier. Let me just look at this. Frontier settlement, Connecticut, CT Insider should get me to it. The state of Connecticut, let's see, there's two major rules here. There's two major things here. The state of Connecticut sued Frontier for terrible customer support, bad service, etc. for their DSL services, hidden fees, and there was another lag spike too. Missed that one. Service fees, as well as not investing in upgrades. While cable folks actually do invest in upgrades, though I wonder what's the point if they invest in upgrades and then the service still sucks. But let's see here. Attorney General William Tong, over $60 million settlement with Frontier Communications. Let's see here. In order to dramatically expand access to high-speed internet for Frontier customers in economically distressed communities, end a hidden monthly $6.99 internet surcharge, and force significant improvements in Frontier's marketing. Oh, another lag spike. Going down to $2,000 for this one. $3,000, $4,000, $3,000, $2,000, $4,000, $5,000. Here we go. Now we're out of it. Yeah, isn't that awesome? Logan's complaining. Oh boy, fight for me. I had a bunch of internet issues in my last streams. Well, normally it doesn't happen. You keep an eye on the Ethernet traffic as long as you can't, long as you have a direct connection out to the internet. You're not sharing bandwidth with something else in your house or someone else in your house. Keep an eye on your traffic and see if you're seeing these kinds of dips as well. But it'd be interesting if this did turn out to be a YouTube problem, although YouTube supposedly fixed a problem with streaming last week. But I know it's not a YouTube problem because I've also done I've quietly streamed to Twitch a couple of times, and Twitch had these lag spikes too. So it's just the lag spikes do not stop. And I get that, and I've already had a service tech, one of those contractors in the little vans, out here twice. And this guy was one of those bullheaded technician types who is a great example of how technology has way too much of a navel-gazing problem. Technology over and over again is way too obsessed with itself. And so this is one of those guys. He was great at talking around in circles, terrible at listening. And I kept countering over and over again that there was a problem when he tried to tell me there wasn't. Yeah, and I actually took a computer live when he was here last time, and he saw it lag out in real time. So, and then he did every angle he possibly could to try and blame my modem. As we sit at over 1,000 dropped frames, 3.5% now for this stream. Cable internet in America, baby. So, this, he did everything he could to blame my modem because boo-hoo-hoo, I'm not paying $15 a month on top of the cost of the internet to lease a modem from these people. It's like, Frontier and the DSL providers didn't lease modems to you. They sold you internet kits. $75, they'd send you a new setup kit if your modem fried, but you paid it once. You didn't pay like $15 and what? He didn't pay him like $15 a month like the modem fees are with these folks. Like the equivalent of an MMO subscription to rent a modem. Seriously. And then he even tried to be like, hey, you want to try one of our modems? I was like, no, don't even try to stealthily sucker me into a $15 rental fee. And then then what if you want to like return it and stuff? Hey, how's the audio, by the way? Fully sounding normal. That's good. So, no. But he did everything he possibly could to blame my modem. Then he said, well, your modem's not sending the full bandwidth. I can't get the full 200. So I take a spaghetti cable, hooked up monolith directly to the modem, shut off the entire rest of the network, bypass everything, speed test. And it was over 200 down, over 20 up. And I'm supposed to get dropped in provisioning speeds at some point down to the entry-level tier, which is supposed to be 100 down, 20 up, because why pay the money for, a higher speed that, number one, I don't have the hardware to benefit from because of the bottlenecks on the power line part of the network. And number two, this whole problem. There's really no point. There's no problem. There's no point. I should just buy my own modem, get the bottom level internet, and never spend any more money until these people decide to run their stuff correctly. So we're talking $65 a month for 100 down, 20 up. So I'm sure there's people in various parts of Europe that would laugh at those kinds of prices for that kind of speed. America has been in a broadband embarrassment for over 10 years now. StopTheCap.com if you want to follow this ongoing problem. And over on my own blog, multimediajay.wordpress.com, the broadband and telecon, play on words of telecom, but telecon, broadband and telecon company or categories documents my rants and raves about this garbage. But the American broadband industry is a complete disaster, and it's a great example of why free markets don't work. You have oligopolies. You don't need a monopoly to get monopolist behavior. You just need companies that don't properly compete with each other, but are academically and intellectually count as some kind of competition, like phone companies these days. So if I didn't want to get ripped off by the cable company before I moved to the Geek House, my choice was DSL. And it was ADSL, copper wire, back out in my hometown, out there even further in the woods. And then out here it's VDSL, or was, I should say. Let's get back to the settlement here. But yeah, that's the story. That's the story here. And then there were times when companies were basically signing non-aggression pacts and agreeing to never compete with each other, which I thought was collusion. Like, what happened to antitrust law? Why is it that broadband technology has to be dragged through the mud so much? Why? It's a rather simple idea, just hooking up to the internet that literally everything is on and everybody has in their pockets these days. It is the 21st century's electrical service. That's why I support regulations, even Title II, whatever it takes to strong arm these companies into providing decent service, because otherwise we end up with situations like what we have right now with these monopolists. You don't need a monopoly to act like a monopolist. A good oligopoly will do that, but then again, then you have markets like where I'm at now that really are cable monopolies. Now this thing has made a few appearances in some tech videos, and we tried to use it as a regular router. And it didn't work out so well because these NVG 589 internet gateways from Frontier and AT&T Uverse are very, very proprietary. They don't really work well as routers. So I've kept mine around in case I ever wanted to switch back. But they're out of the DSL business. I still don't want to break it, though. It still works, and I hate e-waste. Thing is, much as this cable crap is crap. Do you get any more lag spikes? All right. As much as this cable crap is crap, this junk mail has arrived. So, Frontier, let me just get back to the story here. The state of Connecticut sued Frontier. The monetary and injunctive terms are worth over $60 million because of bad service from Frontier, outdated technology, and overall bad treatment of customers. There are over 1,400 consumer complaints against Frontier that were considered in the investigation. You're talking things like returning equipment and still getting charged for it, poor internet quality, unsatisfactory customer service, charges that exceeded promised rates, and the big one that I watched out for myself when I switched to cable, was charges that continued after the services had been canceled. Now, Frontier came to Connecticut and bought AT&T's wireline assets in this state. When AT&T decided to go all wireless, after completely sucking at fiber, because Uverse was fiber to the neighborhood and not fiber to the home, so versus Verizon Fios, it had zero chance whatsoever of being a competitive fiber service. This is the hybrid fiber DSL crap that had the lawn refrigerators, those big boxes at random points that all the DSL connections went into to convert them over to fiber, that the snow plows kept hitting and knocking entire neighborhoods offline in areas where they were placed rather poorly, until that situation was, of course, rectified. But AT&T Uverse was a total joke. The good news is Frontier was already running things. Oh, another lag spike. Yay. And that one lasted a long time. It's not long enough to get any error messages from YouTube about buffering, though. So hopefully I'm not getting cut off and speaking incomplete sentences or something. But now we're at nearly 1,500 dropped frames. 3.4%, making this one of my worst streams ever. 2400 bitrate. Here we go. 2358, 2840. 2590, 2859, 3087, 3048, 3736, 3779. Is this gonna get back to normal? 1900, 2422, 5732. Okay, now we're back. Complete a total disaster. And I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna go whenever this crap happens, so you can see the garbage for yourself that is cable service here in America. Yeah, we're gonna keep getting interrupted, but we're somehow gonna get through the discussion. But I hope this serves as a wonderful, wonderful example. Here, the audio cut out twice. Yeah, see, yeah, there you go. Yep, that's that. Yeah, but the cable tech can't find anything wrong. No, we don't. I don't know. And now the CSRs are completely blowing me off. So they're going to force me to jump on the phone with them. So how much hold music am I gonna have to sit through just to get to a freaking person? I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we had storm damage. We had big storms roll through. Things have sucked since then. Can't be that hard. Take a look at the line and get it fixed. Can't also be that hard, by the way, to troubleshoot problems with the line like in coastal communities where the seawater and the ocean surf and the spray will actually corrode your cable connections in some of the coastal communities, which I understand is one of the reasons why Frontier Fiber is being adopted in some of the towns down on the coastline where it's available, because people are sick of having a call for like hard wiring service and stuff like that. People are sick of having a call for like wiring service and stuff like that. For that kind of thing. Anyways, let's continue our story here. So Frontier got sued, and the state of Connecticut, they settled. They reached a settlement with the state of Connecticut. They have to spend $42.5 million over the next 3.5 years to upgrade their outdated DSL to fiber. And at least half of those upgrades need to be made in economically distressed communities, urban and rural, so that it doesn't just go to the rich people out by New York. So, Frontier has been on a fiber building spree. The problem is they were building a little too fast and aggressively, blocking rights of way, damaging gas lines, and they actually got hit with a cease and desist. They actually got hit with a cease and desist. $5 million cease and desist. August 8th, they actually got hit with a cease and desist from Connecticut's utility regulators because of the way they were building out their fiber, a little too aggressive. So yeah, they want. And the thing is, I've been reading the customer stories of people that have this new Frontier fiber service, and it looks like the Frontier is very, very green at running a fiber network. We were talking about things like outages that last like hours, days, things like that. They're just so new and so green. I don't know even if this ad turns out to be true and Frontier Fiber comes to this town, which we do have a central building that currently houses the DSL stuff that has been owned by the phone company around here since the days of SNET when I was growing up. So if the SNET building, as it were, is upgraded to support fiber infrastructure, and there's some other stuff that is set up so that we can join the fiber network here. Now, this thing sounds interesting. The biggest thing I like about fiber is that it's synchronous. I mean, this ad is for 500, but it looks like there's a budget-friendly one, 100, that can be subsidized under whatever the Federal Affordable Connectivity Program. But I'm wondering if I could just buy that outright, because I can tell you right now, 100 synchronous would be perfect for what it is that I do, as long as it was stable. I mean, I'd be fine with, I talk about like having lag spike. Let's see what it drops down to this time. Okay, that one wasn't as bad. I've talked about how I'd be really having a ball if I was in Rhode Island and I had Verizon Fios. one of the churches that I used to go to in Rhode Island, as we approached nearly 2,000 dropped frames, going from 3% drop frames to 3.9% drop frames. Part of one of the churches that I was involved with had Verizon Fios, 75 megabits synchronous, up and down. I'd be fine with that. I could stream 4K with that if I had the equipment for it. But I can tell you right now that as this technology continues to mature, I will be fine at the lowest tier. But the thing is, I've read some customer reviews of this and read about some of the Frontier problems that people are having. And I can vouch for Frontier problems because I had them myself. There were a couple of major incidents. Now they had friendly CSRs. Oh no, another thing here. Yeah, another lag spike, almost down to 0. Let's see. Are we getting yes, I was talking about the Frontier stuff. So Frontier, how many lag spikes are we up to? Is anyone counting? But they say they can't figure out the problem. But I can't go anywhere else because Frontier has shut down their DSL operations. So these people are just or something like that. So yeah, look, almost complete and total cutout. But there's no problem, right? No. So my experience with Frontier, first off, when I came to this house, it took them weeks, like a week or so, maybe longer. I forgot how long it was, to get hooked up and connected. And I didn't have a smartphone back then. There was no way for me to dial 911 if something happened. So I was coming up here. I would go after work to my old place to get some stuff to bring to this place. So much shorter commute from here to work. So I would just eat the costs of my old commute a little bit longer. And so I would go there. I'd load up the car. I'd also check email. I think I was bringing the Turd Shiba with me at the time. But I would go hook up the Turd Shiba to the DSL that was still going in the old place, just a modem sitting on the floor. And I would check email and social media and do my internet stuff 1990s style, just using it for a few minutes a day or something to check email and a few other things. And then I shut it off for the night, come back up here. Fortunately, I'd put my Steam into offline mode, so hopefully the token didn't expire or something. Then I would play Rocket League single player up here. Rocket League single player, Leo's Fortune, various mid-2010s Steam games that were popular, and a lot of the gaming YouTubers and other folks were playing them at the time. So I would just come up here and play games offline like it was the 90s with no connectivity. Not because Frontier needed to hook up the wiring was fine. Everything was plugged in and stuff. It's just that they spent all that time setting me up in the central office. And I wasn't even a new customer. I was moving from their copper DSL service, ADSL, to VDSL and moving my service address. And it still took them absurdly long just to dial in that I had moved. There's also another incident where Frontier got knocked offline, but not the cable company. And it was offline for like a day. And it made the news and everything because businesses had to shut down that had Frontier as their ISP. So Connecticut has had no shortage of Frontier problems. Problems very, very specific to having Frontier as an ISP. So we'll have to see how long that stuff continues as they get into the fiber business. And of course, being ordered by the government to aggressively build out fiber in certain parts of the state, I can imagine might lead to issues like the long outages I've been reading about, people in various parts of Connecticut that have the service. If you get an outage at all, it's for a very long time. So, which is actually worse than, I remember when I had DSL outages in the old ADSL days. I had DSL outages in the old ADSL days that I would, that it would be like 15 minutes or so. Not hard to fix. Not hard to fix at all. So, I would love to have fiber. I would love to have fiber. Lag spike. What do we have here? Stop the discussion yet again as we go down to 2778, and we come right back out of it. But they can't find the problem. Well, your town is dumbasses. Frontier Fiber 500 synchronous for $40. I'm curious what that's an introductory rate. I'm curious what it is after the introduction package. I'd be perfectly fine with 100 synchronous and stuff like that. There's even a YouTube TV bundle, obviously to try and get you to lag spike. $29.87, $27.29, $23.40, $29.35. Okay, we're back out of DSL speed range. That's pathetic. Fiber internet, 500. So yeah, I mean, I would love to have fiber. I'd love to have fiber. I think it's ultimately going to be the superior technology in the long run. Even DOCSIS 4. DOCSIS 4 is like a Band-Aid for the weaknesses of coax. And even the cable tech agreed with me on this, that the equipment changes might make it not worth it. And it may be the case that cable companies just end up switching to fiber anyways, because fiber is technically a cable. This is something when I had that horrendous job at the ancestor of this cable company 10 years ago, I was talking about. I was like, yeah, maybe someday, cable upgrade away from copper once and for all. And we'll get some fiber optics as our so-called cable service. But, yeah. And so, DSL is dead. DSL is dead. I'm getting the mailers for Frontier Fiber, but it hasn't arrived yet, according to some Frontier folks. So it's in this area somewhere, but it hasn't come to this town yet. When it comes to this town, we'll have to see what the service is like. It might just be an experiment that I do. I'm always doing tech experiments, and I have a smartphone now, so I'll just call on cellular if things go down for long periods of time. So they also, because it's a new technology, though, they are selling it 1-year contract. So I would have to agree to have the service for a year, stuff like that. I would read the contract and make sure, that'll see if there was some culpability for a large outage or something. But I'd love to have fiber. I would really love to have fiber. But here's the thing that I got to think about as fiber starts to flex its muscle. When cable flexed its muscle, phone internet started to scramble. So I've had ADSL, copper wire DSL, old school phone line, had to put filters on all your landline phone jacks, etc. I've had ADSL and I've had VDSL. Both kinds out here. But while they still existed anyways. And I have a blog entry on this. It's called, I guess I'm old enough to get nostalgic for broadband or something like that, detailing my experiences from SBC Yahoo DSL all the way to today. So, I've had both kinds of DSL, and in both cases, DSL technology became completely not worth it. It was the value proposition that tanked long after the technology was no longer competitive. Before I moved here, I was paying $70 a month for 6 megabit DSL. The highest tier DSL you could get costs like $70 to $80 a month. I think it was like $77.97 or something. It was that price point for 6 megabits asynchronous copper wire old school DSL, because the cable company was overpriced all the time. Copper wire old school DSL. And it would have bandwidth problems when a lot of people were watching Netflix because the outdated DSL network was routinely oversold. So you would get like close to your 6 megs on good days. On bad days, you would only get like 3 or 2 megs because too many people were watching Netflix. Asynchronous, by the way. In the 1.5 and 3 megabit DSL days, I did YouTube by having the videos upload overnight and hoping the DSL didn't disconnect while I was sleeping. So ADSL became not worth it. $70-something a month for 6 megabit. Asynchronous. Out here with VDSL, I got up to about $70 a month before I shut that service down as well. There were introductory offers and more competitive normal prices for the cheapest package with the cable folks, which is what I should be moving to anyways. Lag spike. Shorter one, though, so I missed it. Let's watch the preview. I can see my frame rate screw up. So that really brings us to today, where fiber is going to start flexing its muscle. So, I mean, the cable monopoly, finally I get to experience a little of what many, many broadband customers all across the United States have been experiencing. And you've gotten to see it with my crappy looking stream because it keeps lagging out and stuff because of these lag spikes. But Frontier's out of the market for now. If they're sending these mailers around to this local area, they probably want to come out here. So I would definitely sign up for fiber. I would just have to make sure that it was a somewhat stable and usable service. It'd be my first experience with fiber optic internet as well. We'd probably have to get a drilling permit from the landlord to put optical lines in because there's cable and there's old school copper phone, or maybe it would have to replace the copper phone lines if copper service was no longer available. I know they retired. They actually did have old fashioned copper DSL still in this town when I came here, but it was slated to be removed and replaced with VDSL. So I don't know, maybe they just get rid of the phone port from the copper and they just do everything through fiber. Either way, I'd be interested in fiber optic service when it came here, because then it'll represent the kind of competition that'll probably give the cable company a big kick in the ass. Not to say that asynchronous DOCSIS cable internet, if they don't switch to fiber themselves, is a problem here. Not to say that that's the issue, because we've seen newer technologies strong-arm the older, inferior technologies. So one of the side effects of fiber coming to my neck of the woods finally, after I've been looking forward to it for over 10 years now, and I'm like, when's someone going to have fiber around here? Stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, when's someone going to bring some fiber out here? So when fiber starts to make the rounds and cable has to be on the defensive, I'm curious how cheap cable is going to get. Now, when it's the inferior technology and it's not synchronous, although I could make this connection work if I could stop losing 2/3 of my bandwidth whenever whatever happens keeps happening. This is the interesting thing, though. If I was at 500 synchronous for $40 a month, this has to be an introductory price. If I was at $40 a month for 500 synchronous, I could lose half my, 2/3 of my bandwidth if I'm running 500 synchronous. So we have 500, got to use the other thing here, times, got to fix this keyboard one of these days, times 0.33 is 165 megabits per second. So if I had lag spikes as bad as the ones that I've been having over that 500 megabit fiber, it would not be a problem. I'd still have the bandwidth despite the connection lagging out. That's what kind of future we're heading to. And I guess that Frontier, I guess this old NVG 589 is now a cute piece of telecom history. Cute piece of telecom history, and a crappy modem as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Frontier getting some fiber going around here and kick this cable company's ass. It's like, I'm curious how cheap cable's going to get and what the response is going to be from the cable company. Will they actually decide to run fiber themselves instead of upgrading to DOCSIS 4 if it's not cost effective to do so? But it'll be interesting. But for the meantime, we get to get lag spikes, and I get to experience what basically a lot of people in America have had to deal with when it comes to terrible cable service. Whether you're Comcast or whatever, Comcast, Charter. What's another big cable company that gets made fun of a lot? Forgot. I used to have a lot of them memorized. Cox in Rhode Island. Once you stop laughing at the name, it is spelled C-O-X. So, yeah, Cox in Rhode Island. So, yeah, it's getting a taste of what, unfortunately, American consumers have been dealing with for all of this. It's like, the thing is, streaming is probably the most affected by these lag spikes. If I'm down, there's way more, because the connection is asynchronous, like we mentioned, the more bandwidth, the merrier. Lag spike, 2297, 2267, 3681, 6397. All right. This reminds me of old Stickam chat rooms back in the 2000s. So congratulations, this cutting edge cable company that actually updates its equipment is giving me the ability to have an experience similar to a Stickam chat from 20 years ago. Good job, cable. You suck. So I'd love to see fiber come out here, and I'd love to see what it does to cable. It might be cheaper. It may be cheaper, but that could be the case. It could be the case that just the synchronous nature of fiber just makes it so much more worth it. I mean, think about it. If I had 500, you're probably talking like, well, I know that with 500 megabit service, there's some throttling on YouTube that drops the speed down to 380 megas a second. But if I'm doing 1080p videos and I'm going from uploading at like 10... Lag spike! 24, 28, 39, 77, 46, 81, 25, 16. Welcome back to DSL. 23, 93, 25, 43, 45, 54, and we're out. So if I'm, you know, lost my train of thought. That's the suckiness of American cable here. But yeah, 380 something megabits per second, 380 something megabits per second upload. That would probably give me instant YouTube uploads compared to the like 20 up that I have now. So even if it's throttled, it's still way better. But yeah, I guess better call and see when this Frontier fiber is getting here. If this crap isn't actually going to be fixed. But hey, you know, there was at one point, and I'll have to find it and make a community post about it. There was a skit with some pretty serious F-bombs about how much American cable sucks. And I intend on digging that up. I had no problems for years. And now suddenly they want to blow me off because they send a know-it-all technician who doesn't actually know very much about what I'm dealing with. Matter of fact, he was wondering what the heck I was even tracking this with. I'm like, I got hard numbers, the bandwidth dips, it happens on a regular basis, da-da-da. And the most important part is if you want to try and blame YouTube for this, it is service agnostic. It also happens that I stream to Twitch. Maybe I should set up Facebook streaming on my personal Facebook page, do a Facebook Live and monitor the bandwidth, set it to private or set it to only me as it's called over on Facebook. Cook test this sucker. See what we get for bandwidth, see if that dips as well. But the thing is, because it is platform agnostic, I know it's not a YouTube problem because I was able to get Twitch streams to lag out as well. So yeah, this sucks. It's like this is the cable experience here in the United States of America. It's been the cable experience for 20 years now. And enough for people to make fun of it, and enough for Comcast to stop selling their own internet service under their own freaking company's brand name, and they rebranded it to Xfinity. That should tell you everything you need to know about the suckiness of American cable monopolies. Now I get to experience it. Well, what are you going to do about it? Well, make some more videos, obviously, but I'm going to be spending plenty of time getting in these people's faces about fixing this. If they want to get rid of me, they're going to have to either kick me off the service or why would they lose a customer over this? The ultimate retaliation story for like the attorney general, the media, the television news, things along those lines. It probably wouldn't be very newsworthy, though. A lot of people have problems with cable. They pay too much and get shitty service. You're going to get demonetized. I don't care. Now, I'm not going to be like substitute swears and crap. Like, oh, shoe shine polish. No, speak your mind. I really feel like saying it like it is when it comes to this cable crap. Because 2 years ran great. Did plenty of game streams, plenty of chat streams. Could chat stream instead of having to make vlogs. That is no longer the case. And what do you know? This crap starts becoming a thing exactly around the time that Frontier reaches that settlement with the state attorney general. Coincidence that the service deteriorates and I get treated like crap and talked down to by service techs and the problem still isn't fixed? Right, lag spike. 3731. Okay, there we go. Don't you think it's a nice coincidence that right after Frontier exits the DSL market because they've been ordered by the state attorney general to start selling fiber, that all these problems happen and nobody wants to even try and take the initiative to solve them? That's a monopoly. That's why these companies need to be tightly regulated. That's why we even need to talk about Title II. That's why, it's also why I'm never going to vote for Republicans ever again. One of many, many, many reasons. Shoot, I like the idea of being fiscally responsible, supporting yourself and not living off of handouts and lots of other stuff that sounds very, very conservative. But I can't for the life of me support a bunch of emotional windbag politicians who are just getting more and more nuts every election cycle, that are anti-technology, anti-science, and they hated everything we did in response to COVID. Lag spike. 3803, 4331, 3409, 4523, 3438, 2635, 4270, 50. Is it going to stay around for a bit now this time? Yeah, I can't for the life of me support people that are like that. It's just, no. Technology is what makes America competitive. If we don't get this right, the EU is going to get it right. China's going to get it right. Japan's going to get it right. South Korea already has it right. It's like, if not you, then who? We cannot, as a country, afford to let these monopolists suck the life and money out of people with crap-ass service like this. Look, when I was growing up, the Cold War was still a thing when I was a kid. Mikhail Gorbachev, of course, was changing things back in those days. The Soviet Union wasn't as hard-edged as it was under Leonid Brezhnev and whatnot, and some other, and even or Nikita Khrushchev or something in my dad's day. Now, but there was this talk about, we're capitalists, we're better than the Russians. We're free, we're better than the Russians. The communists ain't got jack squat on us, we're better than the communists. And nowadays, with broadband, you find out there are former Soviet republics with better broadband options than we have. How's that for your Ronald Reagan childhood for people my age? We had the hair metal, we had all the bombastic stuff in the 80s while the Soviet Union collapsed, and now the former Soviet republics have better technology than we do for broadband. More competitively priced and sold. National embarrassment. Before we call it with this horrendous experience as we approach the hour mark, let's talk about the single biggest waste of money ever that I've ever wasted in something related to broadband connectivity. When your Frontier stuff cooked, you spent $70 on a new internet setup kit, which gave you a new modem. I've been buying my own modems, and after Professor Snotface or whatever, after that professor of a service tech who lectured me about how everything was because of my equipment, it was my modem that was the problem, blah, 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 blah. After all that crap, I went to Walmart and I bought a Netgear CM1000, brand new modem. It has some less RAM than the Motorola 8600 that I've been using the last 2 years. Doesn't look as good either, and it runs a little hotter. I'm not really fond of the design, but it was a brand new modem. I bring it home, get it provisioned up, get it added to the account. Same exact thing happens. The lag spikes last just as long, and they're just as deep. Brand new modem. So there's the answer to the never-ending cacophony of doing everything possible to blame my modem for everything. Game over. Plus, it was only 2 years old anyway. I should be getting 4 to 7 years out of modems. That's kind of the longevity as well. When I was in ADSL country, I went through 2 Siemens speed streams, SIEMENS, for you little juvenile people out there. I went through 2 speed streams in my DSL country days. The first one was destroyed by storm damage. Spent 70, lag spike, 2933, 2019. That was a good year. 1227. I don't know what that year was like. 2327, 4684, 8930. Okay, here we go. So, I went through 2 speed stream modems in my ADSL days. 2 speed stream modems. $75 to get a new internet hookup kit from AT&T at the time. It was SBC Yahoo DSL, then it was AT&T, then it was Frontier. When I first moved here, the technician gave me a second-hand one of these that still said AT&T on it from the back of his van as part of my new service setup. It lasted, I think, 2 years or so. Lag spike. 1825, 2117, 3027, 3034, 2142, 3587, 7412. Okay. It lasted about 2 years. This was brand new. There were no more service techs giving you these things out of their vans. You had one shipped to you. So, your modems, yeah, just plug in your modem when you get it. So, $75, and I got this. Aris NVG 589. Now it's a nice piece of nerd history. Tried to make it into a modem, but it's unfortunately a telecom device first and everything else second. It's got some weird settings and everything that don't make it a very good modem anyways. So I think it has to do with the network address translation and stuff like that. Plus, I can't get it. There's no firmware that'll change this to act like a modem anyways. It uses more power than most modems anyways because it's a gateway. One of my tech videos recently in the last couple of years, I actually did that stuff as well. So, yep. That lasted until 2020 when I switched to cable because in both cases, both DSL technologies that I used got very uncompetitive price-wise. And so now I'm on the bottom. I'm supposed to get switched over. It was supposed to be a couple of days ago, but it hasn't happened yet. I'm sure it will eventually. And then we'll see if the CSR had their stuff together because I thought their lowest package was 100 down, 10 up. Or are they trying to do 120 to get a little more synchronous with Frontier Fiber on the way? Hey, in the areas where Frontier's been rolling out fiber, their fiber sales actually made them gain market share. The only ISP to actually have a decent gain in market share, and it's people that are cutting it with cable. They're sick of cable. And with nonsense like this, I can see why. What are we up to? What's our score so far? 4,376 dropped frames. We went from 3% dropped frames to 4.3%. This is deteriorated service. This is the cable company dragging their ass, not wanting to fix it. This is the reason why you're going to see a drop-off in streams on here, and there's not a freaking thing I can do about it because Frontier won't even sell me back my old internet, even though I've got the modem to set it back up. So I couldn't quit streaming and go back to the 18.1 service VDSL, even if I wanted to, because the state has ordered them to upgrade. And I understand they still have grandfathered customers putting up with this crap for $38 a month. How are they making any money off of it? And how bad is the support getting? I can tell you that out in my hometown, out in the far in the woods, my folks have had an absolute nightmare experience just getting Frontier to keep the copper phone lines working. Never mind anything fiber related. But then again, that's out there where ADSL is still a thing. But only in the part of town that I was in, not where my folks are. They're too far out in the woods for DSL. Cable only. Cable monopolies. They really suck. And I have half a mind to bust out some kind of bubbly whenever the era of the cable monopoly comes to an end and fiber becomes the name of the game. But 4,376 dropped frames, representing 4.2% dropped frames. That is degraded crap-ass cable service. I'm going to see if I can call them during more normal people business hours instead of the middle of the night. They were supposed to be escalating this because the technician couldn't figure it out, but they've blown me off ever since and won't respond to any messages or texts or whatever that I send. So we're going to have to make a real phone call, sit through the hold music, and see how much of the runaround we get with this rubbish. But yep. So what am I going to do? Channel, I might focus more on videos for a bit. The stuff that is not as real-time intensive, like lag spike, 65, a little one. Okay. The stuff that is not so real-time intensive, 4376, 4.1%. The stuff that is not as real-time intensive is still fine on this. It's only streaming that is kneecapped like this. So, but this just really illustrates just how content creation, especially live streaming, is a world of haves and have-nots. If you're a have, if you're a Pokemon or something, you're rich. You probably stream out of a major city, have some very, very wonderful fiber, maybe even bonded connections, so you never lose your connection even if one of them goes down. And then there's the rest of us, the normal people with jobs and stuff and things like that. That lag spike. 2562, 2649, 2417, 3336, 2620, 2638, 2400, 1825. It's getting worse. 2790, 2252, 3347, 6505, and we're back. I'm not getting any errors about users may experience buffering, though. So, yay! But this is what it's like. 3 audio cutouts. Yay, lol. Oh, finally! We're receiving an error that buffering is going on after that long lag spike. Cable, baby! American cable monopolies. This is what the experience is like. This is, and those of you who want to become streamers, that's really a thing, you know. These companies are gatekeeping the march of technology. 4,961 dropped frames. 4.5%. 411 at the Geek House. This nonsense has gone on long enough. You're going to see more videos. I'm going to roll out a new vlog format to replace a lot of the chat streams since this is so unreliable. And I'm going to leave this in the #1 parking spot for the streams to billboard this horrendous experience. And, hey, you know, one huge element of my channel is playing around with technology and tinkering like this. Here's a great example of one of the biggest problems with broadband in the United States. Terrible freaking cable service. And then when they find out that you're not an idiot that they can push around, that you're actually a smart, tech-savvy, well-educated customer who knows what they want and insists on getting it, they blow you off. Oh, you're too smart, huh? Well, just grin and bear it. Enjoy your shitty service, moron. Yeah, hi, moron. Thanks for giving us your money, moron. Enjoy your dog shit service, moron. You're not going to like it, and there is no other alternative. Oh, you want customer service? Well, it's very simple with us. A finger. There's a skit that I will be putting in the community tab. I'm going to find it. There's a skit on YouTube that I'll be putting into the community tab as part of my little rant about this. But we will leave this the #1 parking spot. Why should I even stream video games if I know that this is going to become a regular thing? Why should I stream anything? It's like that thing about, oh, how can you use skills from video games in real life? Well, like at work, for example, you know, stuff from video games that teaches you something about real life. Bosses are always try and keep you from getting to the next level. It looks like the cable side of this is part of that. This is holding back people's enjoyment of technology. And as long as it exists, I'm a diehard enemy of it. This is complete nonsense. Should have never been a thing. And now I get to experience some of it, just like all those people all around the country who've been putting up with this crap for years, from the Comcasts and the Charters and the Coxes of the world. Yeah. Well, I've now joined the brotherhood of people that have been shafted by cable. Whatever. All right, enough of these dropped frames, customer service nightmares, and thinking about contacting the Attorney General and wondering when Frontier is going to get fiber set up around here, and all the nonsense on this merry-go-round. And another lag spike. 2040, 5,000 sag area. Can't even end the stream without a lag spike. Cable, cable, cable. Sucks. Watch. There'll probably be at least one more lag spike during the thanks for watching screen. Till next time, this is MultimediaJay signing off. Thanks for stopping by. Frontier Fiber.